In the early era of the original Marvel Cinematic Universe, Samuel L. Jackson's performance as Nick Fury was as iconic as Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Tony Stark, or even Chris Evans' performance as Steve Rogers. Relating details about Nick Fury within S.H.I.E.L.D. or even him as a character were intentionally vague, but the speculative scenario is this: what was the original reasoning for Nick Fury's missing eye in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Very early in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it was decided to have a new interpretation of Nicholas Fury, as it was one of the few instances where the source material from the comics were known, but not desired for the Marvel Studios film-based adaptations. Samuel L. Jackson was specifically chosen to be the new adaptation-based choice for Nick Fury, as he was a veteran actor with a commanding presence in films. Executives from Marvel needed a amount of his talent to give a background aspect of credibility to S.H.I.E.L.D. as an organization and to Marvel movies. Both casual audiences and longtime readers of Marvel Comics reacted positively to the interpretation, and even Marvel Studios executives were surprised at how good of a choice Samuel L. Jackson was for Nick Fury. Due to Nick Fury being the commanding officer for S.H.I.E.L.D. and the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. was rarely depicted in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, particular details about himself were vague as to who he really was, what he did before joining S.H.I.E.L.D., and the loss of his eye. While there were Ultimate and 616 comics for an origin of Nick Fury and how he lost his eye, opinions harder that something of these sources would have been adopted for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Unconfirmed sources had speculations from the time, with screenwriters having ideas for adaptations in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but for whatever reason, nothing came of such and the focus were put into other details which became canon. One of the few examples of his eye specifically being referred to in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was in The Winter Soldier, on the reference that he had lost his eye because he trusted someone and was betrayed by them as a result. This was believed to have been someone in S.H.I.E.L.D. or within the United States Armed Forces, and how he lost his eye was one of the reasons or factors for him either joining S.H.I.E.L.D. or becoming its commanding officer. Due to this vague reference, after the movie was released in theaters, there were many discussions or theories about who this individual might have been and what might have happened for Fury to have lost his eye in such a particular way. When Captain Marvel was released, and the details of the film had Nick Fury's eye loss finally be revealed, it polarized audiences and was universally disliked or even hated, from casual audiences to serious audiences, and finally to long-time readers or even critics. With the blame for the detail of Nick Fury's eye being placed, screenwriters for the film couldn't and didn't want to take responsibility for the distasteful reasoning for Nick Fury's lost eye. It became one of the most hated events of the original Marvel Cinematic Universe and was rarely referred to in the Marvel Cinematic Universe of the time due to the horrible reception of the movie and details with Nick Fury losing his eye. Though details later changed, it was an infamous decision that was a reflection of the Marvel Cinematic Universe post-Endgame.